wasn't doing that. Like the moment something was doing that in my personal life, it's like, okay, I got to go shift and put something in there. And so what I did last year was allow myself to feel pain and disappointment and fear and all of those things. And what that has done for me now is that when that has shown up in my life, because I'm still human, so all that still shows up, but because I allowed myself to be in it, I'm not so quick, I'm not impulsive, I'm not so quick to look out the window and jump over here and try to find this to make me feel better, go on to Jamaica and go, and like do all of that. Like I'm more like, okay, it's uncomfortable. Let me deal with it. Let me deal with it. And before I wasn't dealing with it. And so that's another piece of advice I tell people is when you start getting curious and trying to allow yourself to feel whatever you feel. Don't feel like, well, I shouldn't be mad or I shouldn't be upset or I gotta
fix it. I gotta put a Band-Aid over it. I gotta numb. Well, numbing is
numb it. Numbing, shopping to numb it.
Yeah.
I think we think of just drugs and alcohol for numb, but shopping, joining too many activities.
Ooh.
I'm seeing a lot of women do that lately. A lot.
They don't even have time to sit down and think because they just let
me just stay busy.
Yes, I agree. So the traditional is drugs and alcohol and probably a side piece.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right.
But you're right. Then the shopping, shopping therapy, but then the organization overload. Organization overload.
And I'm seeing it a lot. I see it a lot with black women. I see it a lot with very bright black women. Mm-hmm. We're bright. We're in a different kind of generation in that we were educated probably way further than our family. Mm-hmm. Most people, at least on the matriarchal side of things. And so we start to cope with our shit. We start going in that kind of organizational mode, and then now we're exhausted. So on top of all of whatever, we're exhausted from our own exhaustion, and now we have put all these organizations on top of it. And it's not that you are a bad person or that the organization is bad. It's you've done too much. Like you haven't got still. And you've got to, not to say that you shouldn't be a part of things. Yes, that's fine. But why are you doing this? What is the purpose here? Is the purpose because you feel like it is that critical for you to serve the purposes of multiple things? And if in fact you are able to do that, but I don't think that's it. I challenge that a lot. And I think that, get still from, because I see interesting things all the time. And I'm like,
you want to be a part of.
Yes, I'm like, I should go and do this.
Like,
yes, as a creative, you're all over the place all the time. You want to, but I'm like, no. I stop myself real quick because I'm like, there's no way in hell I can't do that. I'm trying to get this song done. I'm trying to get this album done. I've got to focus and get here. But I'm seeing a lot of black women particularly, and maybe because I'm only around mostly black women, because I think white women do it too. Particularly if you've got that organizational brain. And as moms, you automatically have to have an organizational brain. You got to get it. So you're good at it. You're good at it.
Oh, yeah. You become really good at it.
Very good at it. So now you can do all the stuff, but where are you?
You're just going from one organization meeting to the next organization meeting to the next activity, and then it's just this you look up and it's a year later and you're still talking about the same organizational stuff.
Right.
But I think that's part of the plan, because I get home and I'm so exhausted.
Right.
I'm up till 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm so exhausted. Right. And so for me, it's very purposeful what I do.
Right.
Now my time is so much more valuable.
Yes.
When I show up, I want to show up even this. I mean, this has been great for us, but it's a purposeful, intentional.
Absolutely.
I know what I'm doing. I feel like a lot of times, because I know those same women, and I've only had a few conversations. Anybody who's really willing to be honest about it, but just to know that I'm watching it. I see it. And when I say no, I can do this.
Right.
But I can't do that.
Right.
I'm willing to do this, and I don't have time to do that.
Right.
Because when I show up, I like to show up.
I want to be able to give you all of it. And I want to give it all actually with good intention. I don't want to do it out of obligation in this weird,
Oh yeah.
Space of that. And which is why, being here in Flossmoor, and obviously, there are a lot of, from Service League to, Jack and Jill, there's a lot of organizations. And I don't not join it because of the women. It's because I know that for me, I'm not going to be able to bring to the table probably the way that you're needing me to bring it. And that's because of time. Yeah. Mainly because of time. Also, I've never been the girl. I'm kind of the, you need some support. I come to the fun. I got you. I'm going to support you there. But you want me to come every week? Like, it's like, I mean, and that's just my, like, it's just because I start getting stressed out.
Yeah. Like, it's like it's just too much.
Right. It starts feeling like the energy starts doing this thing. And then the other thing for me as being, and I kind of think I'm a little bit of an empath, meaning the energies, I feel people's energies. So if I'm in a room and I feel, and it doesn't have to be like it's funky. It's not talking about funkiness, but just if you've got something that's waiting on you, like I can feel that something is waiting on you, like something is heavy, something's going on. I'm not the girl that just ignores it. Like, I'm going to be like, how are you? And when you say, oh, I'm good, I'm going to be like, no, you're not. Yeah. Like, what's going on? Yeah. Well, no, I'm fine. Yeah. Now you're going to be pissed at me because I'm going to be like, no, you're not. Like, right. And I don't want to do that either. Yes. So I just know that I have to be kind of a little bit more selective with that and, and support in other ways and not necessarily be in the organization. And so that's something that I have kind of been trying to tell a couple of clients and, and close friends. Not that you have to isolate yourself.
Yeah, you just have to choose.
You have to choose, and then and still, if you're able to show some support in other ways, think about how you could be supportive in other ways to the organization smart. Or to to other things.
But that's identity, and that would be another 2 hours. Yes, because part of that organizational overload is. What is your real identity?
Yes.
And so I can, you've identified your authentic identity. I know what my identity is. I don't need all of those lists behind it that's not my identifier.
And it really, I see it so much now, and it really, and I've been thinking about, I'm like, how can you begin to have these conversations? Because I'm seeing women drowning in it. Like I can see it. And I'm your identity is all over the place right now. It's all over the place.
Yeah. But guess what? If I strip myself from these organizations, who am I?
Right. Who am I? And my thing is
if I don't show up at every game, who am I?
And my thing is that's exactly where you need to be. Mm-hmm. That's exactly where you need to be able to say, where am I? And I have a friend right now who has stripped herself from a lot. And she's been kind of apologizing. I'm sorry, I'm like, no. You're right where you're supposed to be. Because I know you're not sitting eating bonbons. I know that you're sitting trying to figure this out. And so you've taken yourself out of these things. There's friendships that have changed, all this stuff. But I know also that you are in school right now, working on a major degree, and that your daughters are like excelling beyond. Yes. And you've got so much positive stuff happening. And no, all those organizations can't see it right now, and they don't ever maybe need to see it, but you see it. And so don't feel because you didn't text me back, I don't care. That's fine. If I really need to talk to you, I'm gonna call you and tell you blah blah blah. Right. But because you didn't, and I've heard certain people, well, they didn't text me back. Well, okay, but call. Shit. I mean, that just drives me crazy. Like if they didn't text you back, don't personalize that.
Yes, they're offended.
Right.
Well, when you start to change who you are, as I always say, then it's questions. It makes them look at who they are.
Yeah.
So when people are moving, we talked about this earlier. When you're moving and growing, and they're sitting idle, or they're just they're not really digging deep. You are making them look inwardly and say, okay, I'm not. I mean,
No, I totally. I have so many people that I know that's how, because just as many people who tell me you inspire me. I know that same inspiration for somebody else can feel very defeating. Yes. Because I went through that. I went through when I wasn't being creative, and I'm watching other people be creative. Mm-hmm. While, yes, I'm happy for them, I can't get real happy because I know I am not doing, and it got to the point that was happening so much. I finally told this person that there was a person who was doing just blossoming, just beautiful in her art. And I cried so hard. I attended her one of her events.
Yeah.
And I'm crying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, afterwards she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm envious.
Wow.
I'm not. I told her, I'm like,
and
I'm like, and it's not because of you, because you're just doing you.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm hurt. I'm disappointed in myself for not, because I could be doing me, and I'm not.
Yes.
You know, I'm just too freaking afraid to be me.
Yes.
And you know, and she
talk about an aha moment.
Oh yeah, that was right before I signed up for my little music theory.
Oh,
she sat down. She and her business partner sat down and was like, "Let's pray."
Wow.
And we prayed together. And because I saw obviously that, you know, because I was like having a nervous breakdown, you know, in front of them, and you know, they prayed for me, and we, you know, and I started. That was but I had to get honest with that.
Breakthrough.
Yes, I had to get honest because I was. That wasn't their first event. I mean, I had seen a couple things, and you know, and I would go. It was starting to get to the point. I'm going to concerts and shows, and I'm not even paying attention to the artist as much as I'm thinking I could do that.
Yes,
I should be doing that.
Yes.
Why aren't I doing
Yeah.
that? My life is miserable.
Yeah.
You know, and so I know that that's happening for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not unique. And so when, you know, when I'm doing these great things or what appears to be great things, I know a lot of people are now having to wrestle with their own stuff while they're watching this,
Mm-hmm.
and then therefore they can't be present all the time and complimentary, and you know, and so I don't personalize it anymore. I mean, I used to be like, well, you get it, but I totally, I'm like, I get it, and if you want my advice or support, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready to do that, we don't have to talk about it. You know, that's fine. You got to figure it out. But
no, that was good. You left with some good advice, something that they can at least begin to think about as they listen.
yeah.
Thank you,
Aww,
Kenya.
thank you.
Thank you for
LSH,
having
this has been so
with
fantastic.
LSH. This is wonderful.
This is really good.
Oh, I just love your spirit.
Oh, thank you. I love yours. No, you have beautiful energy as well. I'm like, she's another creative soul.
Okay, so that's the juice, everyone. Thank you for joining Talking Shit with LSH and the Baddies. You've just been unleashed. Now go unleash a few more baddies in the world. Peace.